All right, welcome back everybody to Real Talk. This is season 2, whole new season, whole new year here on the Cowboy Slot channel. So we're calling it season 2 because it's a new year, and this is episode 1 of season 2. So today is January 7th, 2024. I hope everybody had a fantastic holiday. Um, it's been a couple of weeks since our last Real Talk episode. We don't do live streams over the holidays, of course, and this year on Sunday and Monday, of course, there was Christmas and then New Year's, and so, but we're back now. So welcome back to everybody. And Mark is here joining us from Gamble Smart, Gamble Smart, Gamble Safe channel. Be sure to check out that channel as well, Gamble Smart, Gamble Safe. So Mark's here today to
What's up,
help
everybody?
ring in the new year and help
That's right.
answer some questions. So
That's right. That's right.
just one quick update before we get started taking questions. Of course, if this is your first time here, because I know we have had a lot of new people come on the channel. We actually just passed 200,000 subscribers, and we're actually getting ready to hit 202,000. So that's 2,000 people in a matter of a couple of days over 200,000, which is awesome. So if this is your first time here, this is an open Q&A. You guys can ask any question that you'd like, but we do get really busy here on these shows. So if we happen to miss your question or we don't, see it or anything like that, that's okay. We do have a website, ropethejackpot.com, where you guys can ask your questions 24/7. And then one more quick update with the new year and everything. We did announce a couple months ago that we were moving clothing production here to Wyoming. That is still on track for January. We're probably thinking towards the end of the month you can start to buy those shirts in our shop. So anyway, that's enough chit chat. Let's get on to some questions. But first, Mark, how have you been? And how's tell us a little bit about about Gamble Smart, Gamble
Oh,
Safe.
sure. Yeah. No, I've been great. So happy 2024 to you guys. It's good to start a new year. I hope you guys all have a wonderful and safe gambling year. We're all making changes. I'm making changes. Brantley's making changes. Like, this is a good time for you guys to really kind of reflect and think, what could I do differently in 2024 that I maybe did poorly in 2023? And that's mostly what our channel is about if you're going to gamble, why not gamble smartly, right? Have the knowledge of how these things work, as well as monitoring your bankroll budget. We're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. In fact, we came up with a new idea that we're testing out, and this is like the reverse cash box. And basically, what it is it's a timed release box, and it's actually for cigarette smokers. Okay, so it's a little box that you can put cigarettes in, and then you can put a clock on it that says, "Don't let me open this for 4 hours," for example. Well, we thought, what, that'd be kind of cool for session or budget management, right? So we're going to actually test that. We're going on a trip very soon out to Foxwoods, and I'm going to be using that as my budget release. So I'm basically going to put my money in and set it for 12 hours, and I can't open it until 12 hours. And I think, things like that are what we're looking at, trying to make things a little bit easier for you guys to stay in control. And as you know, different levels of control for different people. A lot of people have crazy smart willpower. Like, it doesn't matter. They understand the left pocket means winnings, the right pocket means budget, and they can keep it all separate. And I'm proud of you for getting to that step. But a lot of us don't even want to admit it, but a lot of us are in that situation. And so we need something a little bit more strict on us. And I'm going to test that out and see if that works, at least for me, because I'm really trying to crack down on just the wild spending when I go into the casino. So we'll see how that works. But anyway, that's mostly what the channel is about, is just trying to find creative ways to gamble smarter. And it's been fun so far. We do gambling audits and things like that, where we talk to you guys and you share your stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly, going into a casino. So everybody can learn from everybody else. And that's kind of what we're at. So, but again, thank you, Brantley, for having me come on. It's just like old times. Really do miss the live shows, and it's fun coming in here to answer questions for you guys. So really do appreciate you having me back. Thanks so much.
Yeah, of course. So everybody go make sure to check out the Gamble Smart, Gamble Safe channel that Mark and Dave have. It's a great channel. I love it. I watch it. Highly recommend it. So
Thanks, Brantley.
let's go ahead and let's get to some of your questions here. Let's go ahead and start this off here. I'll take a couple. Mike here on Facebook says, "Do slots on cruise ships have worse odds?" They really don't. So we actually did a whole episode about cruise ship slots. That episode is in the library. So the thing is, and this is what a lot of people don't know. So the cruise lines that we have here, so your Carnivals, NGLs, all of that, those are all governed under the CLIA, which is the Cruise Line International Association. If you go to the CLIA's website, it actually will say on there that the cruise ships follow the exact same as Nevada's regulation. So when you are playing on a cruise ship, it's basically exactly the same as if you were playing at a strip casino in Las Vegas. So check out that episode because it details it all a little bit more in there. A friend of mine actually was a tech on a cruise ship. And he actually stopped in to visit and was telling me a little bit about the CLIA stuff. And he actually showed me a lot of like their stuff. And so we did an episode on it. So be sure to check that out. It's a newer episode. It was only done about a couple of weeks ago, I think right before Christmas. So be sure to check that out. That's in the library. All right. Jason says, have you played the new NFL slot yet? I have not. Have you, Mark? Have you played this NFL slot?
I'm not sure I will. Number one, I'm not a big football fan, at least not professional football, so it doesn't really attract me in that way. But it's your typical video high volatility game, and you know by now, Brentley and I are just not attracted to those games by default. But you know what? I'll play anything sometimes just to try it out. I might be pleasantly surprised, but based on what I've seen, there's nothing that really attracts me to that game.
Yeah. Me either. All right. Let's see here. So who knows? Maybe I'll check it out or
there you go.
Something another time. Never know. I don't think I'd put a lot of money in it though.
No, definitely don't.
Yeah.
$100 and run.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah.
Lewis here says, debating on staying at MGM Grand or Park MGM. What's your take on it? So I can give you my take and then I'll let Mark give you his take. So MGM Grand actually really impressed me with the amount of restaurants and food options that it has. So MGM typically on a strip casino, like if you stay at Aria or Cosmo, it's like everything is very high, high priced, stuff like that. But you go to MGM Grand and you can get really cheap food. You can get middle of the road food. You can get really expensive food. Like there's so many food options at MGM Grand that it really does kind of make it for a good experience. And then you have the Cherries Jubilee at MGM. They really do have a good selection of actual gaming and machine options there at that property. Now, Park MGM, the nice thing about Park MGM is that it is very clean. It's very, very clean. It's smoke free. So if you don't like cigarette smoke, it's smoke free, I believe, on the entire property. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That is correct,
on
yeah.
that, Mark.
Yeah.
Both of them have their pros and cons. But that's my take on it. I mean, personally for me, either or is a good choice, really. But if you like to eat, and especially if you have a dining credit, I would probably recommend MGM Grand over Park MGM just because there's a lot more dining options there. What about you, Mark? What's your take on it?
That's actually a really tough one. I think I will prefer Park MGM a little better just based on location. I like that it's sandwiched between New York, and Aria, because I like both of those properties, and it's very quick to get to either one of those. And I do like the non-smoking. The machine selection at Park MGM isn't amazing. There's really only like 2 pockets of machines that are like really good that we play. But I kind of can say the same thing about MGM Grand because you've got Cherries Jubilee and the Majestic Lions, and then you just have crap all the way down until you get to the other end of the casino, and then they have some of the older games. And when I say crap, I'm talking about like all of the video penny machines. I mean, it just eats up most of that middle area there of MGM Grand. But they have a great high limit room. If you're a high limit player, I think most definitely MGM Grand has a better selection of machines in the high limit room than Park MGM does. But yeah, that's kind of a hard one. I think overall I would stay at Park MGM just because of the non-smoking. I'm just not a huge fan of smoky casinos and smoky hotels and things like that. So that's just kind of, my thing.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep.
All right. See, we do have a lot of questions backing up, guys. So
yeah, guys.
Kind of again, I'll just remind. I know it's the first show of the year, a lot of new people here, but I'm going to put this website address up on the screen, ropethejackpot.com. You can ask questions 24/7. It's a huge chat forum. A lot of people on there. A lot of great threads already created on there. If you're looking for machines, it's a great place, or if you're going somewhere, and it's all free to use. So check that out, ropethejackpot.com/chat, just in case, we don't get to your questions tonight, because we do have a lot of you in here, and it's hard for us to get to every single question, but
yeah, we've already queued up quite a bit, so we'll have
Yeah.
to stop talking and start answering. But real quick, Dottie, if you think the MGM Grand is small, Park MGM is like a third of the size of MGM
Yeah,
Grand.
it's smaller.
It's really small. I mean, you can literally just walk around it. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Let's see here. I'll take this one here from Richard. Hey guys, hope your holiday was good. I have noticed my HHR casino is getting more real Vegas style slots and not the knockoffs anymore. Do you guys know what's up with that? I'm very excited about it. Yes, and in fact, we have some exciting projects coming out about this particular topic. So HHR, for the longest time, there was HHR machines, kind of like, when bingo machines first started coming out, it was, they just had specific machines that were made for bingo, specific games that were made for bingo. And that actually changed. It's a new change. They talked about this last year at G2E, actually. And there's been a lot of changes now to where the classic style slot games and the games that everybody really likes, like your Buffaloes, your Double Diamonds, stuff like that, they can actually make now in an HHR configuration. And those are starting to pop back out. A lot of people don't know HHR is actually the fastest growing sector of gambling in the industry right now, because HHR is pretty much allowed everywhere. Even outside, even in places that normally don't have gambling, HHR is allowed. Obviously, there's still some exceptions there, like Utah, Hawaii, Texas, stuff like that. But they are coming out in a lot more places. So we're going to be covering that in the future. So stay tuned, Richard. But yeah, definitely some exciting changes happening in the world of HHR. And we do have a super chat here from Peyton499 super chat. Thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate it. There's a slot at Park MGM with $1,000 floor progressive that is extremely similar to the Cherries Jubilee MGM Grand. Same, just rebranded. I have not yet seen that one. Now,
No,
Mark, you know what it is?
It's basically a branded version of Majestic Lions. You're going to see, if you see the Majestic Lions pay table, it's the same thing as Sizzling Sevens. You're going to see the one at Park MGM is called Winner Winner Chicken Dinner. I kid you not, that's what it's called. Yeah. But it's the same pay table as Majestic Lions. So it is different from Cherries Jubilee. And the big difference is the Majestic Lions, you have $100 or 100 credit payout, a 200 credit, and a 300, and then 1,000. Where Cherries jumps from 100 all the way up to 1,000. So they're missing the 200 and the 300. And for that reason, that's why the 1,000 hits a little bit more frequently on that. But yeah, no, it's still a very good game to play. Don't get me wrong. It's still low in volatility, but it's not the same as Cherries.
Very good. All right. Yeah. A lot of people think that Blazing Sevens or Sizzling Sevens is the same as Cherries Jubilee. It's actually not. The math is different because, like Mark said, there's, Cherries Jubilee, you get 0, 100, or 1,000 pretty much, or like a $5 hit there. But on those other games, they have other things on the pay table that you can hit, so the math is different on those. So no, those are not the same as Cherries Jubilee. They might be kind of similar, but they're not.
Right.
But anyway, you want to take one, Mark?
Yeah, sure. Sober Surfer says, do you like Wheel of Fortune Triple Gold? I'm coming to Vegas from Hawaii on Friday. I do have a guilty pleasure when it comes to the gold spin Wheel of Fortune, but man, you got to be ready for the swings on that one, because you really have to bet the full 10 credits to get the most out of that game, and sometimes that can be very expensive. So I would not start at that. I definitely start at other machines that are lower in volatility, and then if you want to play that to have fun, do that. But that's kind of where I am on Wheel of Fortune in general. And Tim R. Pat says, I'll be in Vegas next weekend at New York. Great property. I love it. And the food options there are amazing. As long as you like junk food, that's the place to go. Plan to play only low volatility slots. Thumbs up from me. I heard Mark knew the percentage for Cherries Jubilee. No, I do not know that. What I do know is I'm actually working with somebody who we're trying to reverse engineer the game to figure out possibly how long the virtual reel strips are of that game. Now, we don't have the par sheet, which is what you would need to definitively be able to tell. But the game is so simple and there's so much video of it that we think we're going to be able to come close to figuring out what the actual odds are of hitting the Cherries Jubilee. And if you do, some of the things that we've noticed so far is, and you notice this just if you play it, the first and the second reel, the Cherries Jubilee is pretty heavily weighted. So you're going to see it end up on the first reel and the second reel quite a bit. But it's that third reel where the Cherries Jubilee symbol is a little bit more rare. And so that's why you get teases all the time on that game, because it's just there's more frequent hits of those first two Cherries Jubilee, and then the third one's the tough one to get. So I'll let you know. I'm not going to put any numbers out until we know with as much confidence as possible, because we don't want to lead people down a wrong path. But I will say it's higher than you think.
Yeah.
But it's still the best compared to everything else to play. It's still the best thing to hit. I mean, 1,000 credits on that does not change no matter what the odds are. If you want to hit 1,000 credits on the slot machine, you have to play Cherries Jubilee. I mean, that's just a fact. So,
Right.
good question.
All right.
And, I'll answer one more here, Brantley, and then
Go ahead.
let's see. Oh, this is a good one. So Mikey Kaufman says, how hard is it to get a slot machine for your home? It's not difficult, but the first thing you have to do is start with what state you live in, because a lot of states have restrictions, unfortunately. It's a really dumb rule, in my opinion. But so what I would do is just do a Google search for slot machine ownership by state. Just search for that. See if you're in that list of allowable machines. Sometimes it has to be a certain number of years old, things like that. And then go from there. But, a lot of states have restrictions, so you just have to see from there. But it's actually not too difficult. Word to the wise, just know who you're buying from. If you're going to buy from a legitimate dealer, awesome, especially your first ownership experience with a slot machine. You need that warranty. You need that support. I would not just go and buy one on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace unless you are ready to get your hands dirty and to be frustrated, because it can be very frustrating to find parts. It's not like Walmart or Amazon sells this stuff. So you have to be very careful with that. So my recommendation is to pick a dealer that is big and well established for your first machine purchase. And then once you get comfortable with how it works and how to fix minor issues like changing the battery and things like that, then you can start finding deals and bargain hunting to fix up machines. So that's my advice there.
Exactly. And good advice too.
Yeah, it really is.
All right, let's see. I have a question. Why do casinos move machines around? It seems when I find a machine, I excel and they move it. They move it around for marketing reasons. So it has nothing to do with the odds of the machine or it hitting or not hitting. It's 100% for marketing reasons. Those floors, so like we've talked about before, we've done videos on this in the past, so I'll make this quick, but the placement of the machines on the floor is heavily reliant usually on whatever lease stipulations that they have through the manufacturer, because most of these casinos, they lease the game, so it's called a participation agreement is what it's called. I know Aristocrat, for example, they make the Buffalo and the Lightning Link and stuff. They will usually always put some kind of a stipulation in their participation game where they want to make sure that their games are highlighted and positioned in a certain place on the floor. So if a casino if a sales rep comes into a casino and says, yeah, we'll give you these, we'll just say 6 Dragon Link, for example, we'll give you 6 Dragon Link. Here's the lease agreement, but we want to put them over here in this particular spot. Now the casino has to play Tetris and move everything around just to accommodate that, so they get a certain deal for their participation agreement. Has nothing to do with the odds, has nothing to do with the players or anything like that. It's everything to do with marketing, and that's really what it's all about. All right. We have a couple super chats in here. $5 here from Vaughn. You guys are the best. Please talk about the slot selection at New York, pinball, etc. Hope to see you all this year in Vegas. So, New York actually does have a really good selection of machines. They actually, for being a strip casino, normally the strip casinos like to try to have all of the newest, fanciest, flashiest things. But New York actually still has a pretty good selection of classics, as well as they've got some newer stuff as well. They do have pinball. I wasn't too impressed with their high limit room. It was pretty dull to me. But New York does have a pretty good selection of machines. They do. I've seen some,
And yeah,
even some
classic
harder to
pinball
find
starts at
ones.
$5
Yeah,
there. So
exactly. Classic pinball starts at 5. So
yeah.
just keep that in mind. But thank you very much for your super chat. Really do appreciate it. And Rock says $5 super chat. Would you recommend WinStar or Shoshone if you had to go to only one? Well, kind of comparing apples to oranges there a little bit. So you're taking a casino, you're taking the largest casino in the world, which is WinStar, that has both Class 2 and Class 3, against Shoshone Rose, which is a relatively small casino. So really, I mean, would I recommend for vacation? There's give and takes to both. There really is. There's give and takes to both of those.
Yes.
But it's really trying to compare apples to oranges too much. You really can't compare those two because they're in two whole separate realms. You've got a lot at one property, and it's the largest property in the world, and you're comparing it to a very, very small hometown casino. So it's not a really fair comparison on that one. But good question. Thank you. All right. Let's see. And from Facebook, is bingo slot machine the same as slot machine in? I'm assuming you're asking, is a bingo slot the same as a regular, like a Las Vegas style slot? The answer is no. So, and I know that I know you're asking from Facebook, and this is a good time to remind you guys, if you're watching this out there on Facebook, because we broadcast on Facebook and YouTube. Please do come over to the YouTube channel and check out the library there. There's over 400 videos in the YouTube library. I can guarantee you that 99% of every single question is answered in the video library on YouTube. So if you're watching on Facebook, be sure to come over to YouTube because we do have a full episode all about this. Actually, we have a couple about this. But when you're playing a bingo slot machine, you're not playing a slot machine at all. So they're actually not considered slot machines. They can't be called legally slot machines. It's a bingo terminal. Everything in front of you is just a visual on what's happening on the bingo game in the back end. It is not you versus the machine. It's you versus other people on the floor playing on the bingo server. That's not a bad thing. You can still win great money on those bingo machines. And then a regular slot machine is just you versus the slot machine, the random number generator. So Mark, do you want to add any more about your experiences with bingo machines at all? Because I know you've been turned on to those bingo machines now.
I tell you. But my recommendation, if you're going to play the bingo machines, do not play the like video style. Still stick with the old 3-reel ones if you can, because it's literally like, in most cases, it's like playing double diamond. It just looks different. And a lot of people are turned off on bingo machines because it looks cartoony and it looks weird, and the sounds and the bells and all this stuff. But if you look at the pay table on those machines, especially like the 3-reel, they're all double diamond pay tables, and they play pretty much the same as double diamond. I've noticed really no big difference there. One way to think about, and this is something I said recently, and I think it makes sense for most of you guys, is that the difference between the class 3 and a class 2 is just the way the randomness is generated. Okay. It's just like a licensing thing. And that's what HHR is too. It's just a different way to generate randomness, but it's different because you're actually playing, again, like with everybody in the facility. So basically what it means is if somebody is winning, somebody else has to be losing. Where if it's just you in the slot machine, it doesn't matter what your neighbor's doing or the person across the hall or anything like that is doing. It's you against the machine. But the way it works in a bingo or HHR or even like video lottery terminals is that if you're winning, somebody else has to be losing. Or if you're losing, somebody else is winning. But all things considered, that's not going to make any difference, or you're not going to notice any difference just by playing. And that's all by design. They want it to feel and act the same as a class 3 machine, because otherwise people would not play, and they get scared. They'd run off to Vegas and play there, and they would never play bingo machines. But I would just really don't feel like it's a bad deal. I've done pretty good on class 2 bingo machines. Just make sure you stick to those classics like the 3 reels with the 5 lines, that kind of thing. That's where it's at when it comes to those games. So
Exactly. So I hope that helps to answer your question a little bit on those
good
machines.
question.
Let's see here. Which casinos in Vegas have the most amount of lower volatility slots? This one
4 queens.
really four coins. There you go. Four coins.
That's
Four
all I
coins.
could think of, at least my personal experience.
You know, Fremont Street is going to have a lot of them. Here's the nice thing about Vegas, which, you know, me personally, I would rather gamble anywhere else but Vegas, to be honest, unless it was Cherries Jubilee. But Vegas has a great selection of machines. Pretty much any casino you go to is going to have a pretty healthy selection. I did like the selection of games at Circa. Circa was really good. A lot of
Yes.
lower limit machines as well as lower volatility games. So
Yep.
Vegas is huge, and there's a casino you turn around and there's 10 more casinos right there. So
Yeah.
if one casino doesn't have what you're looking for, I guarantee another casino does, and it's probably right around the corner. So be sure to check that out. And John's asking, what are my thoughts on Keno machines? Honestly, there is a reason why Keno is dying. To me, it's a boring game, and that's just me personally. I think it's a boring game, but the odds on Keno just aren't very good whatsoever. I recommend playing Keno? No, I wouldn't, but I do understand and realize that there's a lot of people out there that absolutely love Keno, and they're like a devout follower of Keno, and that's all they play is Keno, and that's perfectly fine. If that's what entertains you, then please, do what you enjoy and play what you enjoy. It's just not something that I would recommend whatsoever.
If I were to do Keno, I would try to find an old live Keno, where you're actually sitting down and watching the numbers being pulled because it's very slow. You could put a game on and watch the game while you're playing Keno, like something like that. It's almost like playing real bingo in a bingo hall.
Yeah.
But when you're just like fast paced playing bingo, it's just going to be a steady decline. It's like if you were to go and get quick picks for the lottery, and most people do that. They'll just get 5 quick picks and then they lose, and then they get it again the next week and then they lose. Imagine doing that, but doing it every single second. You're just going to see your money go down, 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 and then you might get a hit, but it's just not a good idea. I'm with you, Brantley. I just don't see big wins on it, and it's like playing fast-paced lottery. That's all it really is. Just a select few are going to get good hits on it, but it can be very deceiving. Like I remember just a quick story when we were actually in Reno. My wife and I went and ate breakfast at the place, and they had the Keno there. And while we were eating breakfast, and we didn't play for money, but we just played for fun. So we just took the cards off the table, and you think, well, there's 60 numbers. How hard can it be to match 20 numbers? Seems pretty easy, right? It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It is tough. It is tough. So it's very deceiving when it comes to thinking you have a good chance of winning. It's just, okay, moving on.
Yeah. All right. We got 2 super chats here, and then Mark, I'll let you grab some questions. So $9.99 here from Cyrus. Just wanted to say thank you very much for all the info you shared. In a multi-denom game, is the RNG shared across all of them or different per wager? Devil Link or Devil's Lock and Dragon Link. So there's only going to be one random number generator for the system, and that's the technical speaking. There's different pay tables that the random number generator picks from, but the RNG, there's just one random number generator. That's not what changes. What changes is the pay table that the RNG picks from. So, we always give the example of the claw, picking out, like, you have a bowl of ping pong balls and the claw is coming down. Well, the claw is the random number generator, and the bowl of ping pong balls, that gets swapped out for another pay table when you change the denomination. So the RNG itself doesn't change, but it's the pay table that changes. So I hope that helps to answer your question. And thank you so much for your super chat. Really do appreciate it. And $4.99 here. Let's see. Are there other variations of Wealth of Dynasty? I've only found it at Plaza, but Konami has other 68-cent titles. There are a ton of variations of Wealth of Dynasty. There's probably as many variations of Wealth of Dynasty as there is of a double diamond. There's a lot. So yes, I could not even begin to name them all. I know there's winning animals as one of them. It just the list goes on and on and on. But yes, absolutely, there are many other different titles for Wealth of Dynasty and variations. So thank you very much for that. All right,
Okay, I'll
I'll let
take
you
one
go ahead and
here.
take one. Yeah.
Sounds good. To the Star says best pastrami at New York, New York. Amen, brother. It is a oh man. Every time I'm in Vegas, I try very hard to get over there. Get it with the spicy mustard. Pro tip. Yeah, definitely do the deli shop there at New York, New York. It's incredible. Um, all right, and Richard Santee says, "Oh, this is a good question. How do you slot manufacturers determine what the jackpots are going to be on the in the pay tables?" So it really comes down to how volatile they want the game to be. The more volatile the game, the higher the jackpots are going to be, which means the less likely it's going to happen. A good example of this is 10 times pay. A machine like 10 times pay could be in a casino for its entire lifetime, 7, 8 years, and never hit 10, 10, 10 because it's very the top amount is way far away from your bet amount. That's kind of what I was trying to get at. So if you imagine a 2 credit bet and you get 20 grand off of that, you bet $2 and get 20 grand, they're going to make sure that that 20 grand is not easy to hit, right? But if you bet $2 on a double diamond machine, it's 1,600. So it's going to be more likely that you'll hit the top jackpot on the double diamond. But that's by design. Like, and they did that because some players like doing all the risk. Like they don't want to play a game that just gives them small and steady wins. They want to just go for the gusto. They want to get the big things. And the trade-off of that is it's hard to get. You can't have both. You can't you can't have easy to get top line jackpot and low volatility. You just can't get that. There has to be a trade-off somewhere. And so that's how they decide. They basically sit down and say how volatile they want this game to be. And if they say, well, let's make this crazy volatile, well, then they'll make a jackpot way far away from your bet size. And that's
Megabucks.
Megabucks is a perfect example. The most volatile game in existence is Megabucks. The chance of getting the 10 million is just unbelievable. I think I read somewhere that it's more likely that you'll hit Powerball 3 times than hitting Megabucks.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? It's nuts. So yeah, that's how they decide. So good question, very good question. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And Simon Sarpy says, I'm going for a double diamond $5 3 reel, $500. Closest double diamond to me at that denomination. Just got to see what happens. Good idea. Just be ready to lose it, but you're making a good choice when it comes to the game that you want to try that on. I mean, that's all gambling really is when it comes to especially slot machines, is mitigating your risk. If you want to chance something like that, then definitely, especially if, let's say, for example, that $500 is not your typical budget. Maybe you only go with 100. Maybe you got a Christmas bonus or something. You want to go try something that you've never tried before. The worst thing you can do is take that 500 and go play Megabucks or Wheel of Fortune or something like that. You're making a good decision by doing a $5 double diamond. I would actually just do 1 credit. I mean, sometimes it's not even worth doing the extra. You know, there's no benefit to betting max on a double diamond machine. A lot of them are not like that. So, feel free to just start at 1 credit and go for it. And good luck to you. But you're picking a good
Yeah.
machine there. It's a good one to pick.
Very good machine. All right.
Oh, go ahead.
Reality says, Happy New Year question. I noticed that some slot YouTubers change the denom a lot when playing. Your thoughts? It doesn't do anything really for you other than it's always good. Now, listen, it's always good to evaluate. And this is something that we've always taught here. You always want to be evaluating your bankroll as you go along, pushing your luck at the right time, taking it back at the right time. We have a lot of videos, especially on like the Ainsworth games that we're playing. We might start out with $5, on a $5 bet. And then as we win more money, be like, okay, now it's safe to play it on $10, but then we have a stopping point of, okay, we'll play it on $10 down to this amount. That's really the smart thing to do if you're wanting to change denom and change up your bet, is pushing your risk at the right time, and always keeping your bankroll in mind. that's really the big benefit to doing that. But all these, I kind of know what you're saying a little bit. I've seen some videos where, they're like, oh well, if I change all the denoms and stuff, it'll trick the machine. There's no trick to doing it. The only time that really changing the denom is going to make a huge difference is by evaluating your own personal bankroll and what you're doing, and then also make sure before you ever do that, check the game rules to make sure that you're not giving up something, because there's a lot of games out there. Wealth of Dynasty is actually one of them, where on Wealth of Dynasty, if you start changing, like if you change your bet and you drop it down, it makes it to where some of those progressives are no longer available. So always check the game rules, because those are the hidden nuggets of information in there that you can read if you sit and actually check those, but a lot of people don't. So but that's the only my thoughts on changing denom is just keeping it responsible. So I don't know, Mark, if you want to add to that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I see this on so many YouTube videos where like, well, let's change the 10 cent and see if it starts hitting on there. And then it does, and they think that it's because they changed the 10 cent. No, you just got lucky. I mean, don't ever, please, for the love of God, and this is what we talk about on Gamble Smart all the time, do not up your bet because you feel like there is some kind of magical, like, huge benefit to doing so, by going from $1 to $5, $5 to $10, or raising your bet from 100 credits to 500 credits. If your bankroll doesn't allow it, don't do it. There's just never a good situation like that. So just a lot of YouTubers feel that way is because they get rewarded for something. They'll cycle through 100 credits, 200, 300, 400, 500, then they'll start over and do it. And whatever one hits on, they think it's because that's what the machine was programmed to hit on, but that's not what's going on. You just ended up getting lucky on whichever one you ended up pushing last, So don't run with it is basically what we're trying to say, is that it's dumb luck that one of them worked whenever you tried it. So
Right.
Brantley is absolutely right. Budget should be the defining answer there. Like, that's the question you should be asking. Does my budget allow me to increase the bet? And if the answer is no, don't do it. I mean, just don't do it. There's no benefit to doing it.
Well, and really here's the something like, because we talk about slots all the time and everybody always wants a quick easy answer, and I can tell you this, to be successful at slots, it's going to be 90% your budget and your budget control. 90% of it is budget and budget control. 5% of it is picking the machine that goes in tandem with that budget that you have. And the other 5% is just the luck of pushing the button. Other than that, that's the strategy right there. 90% budget, 5% picking the right machine that goes with that budget. And then the other 5% is just the luck of you hitting the button. So always do keep that in mind. Another thing too is, everybody's budget is different, and that's a really, really big thing. Each machine is designed for a different budget. This is a real thing. We've talked about this before. I was actually surprised, I'm not going to mention any manufacturers or any games or anything like that, but when we sit down and talk to game makers and they're like, yeah, we just made this brand new game. And then they say, well, we made it for like a higher budget, higher roller player. And it's like, okay, so if you go into the casino and you've got $10,000 to blow, of course you're going to hit a jackpot, and you can play whatever you want to, because everything is within your budget at that point. But if you go in with $100 or a couple hundred, you got to be more selective on what machines that you're going to pick. But it amazes me when I see people and they'll take $100 into a casino and they'll sit down and play a Dragon Link game, and they're like, well, I lost it in 2 seconds. Well, because that game's not designed to play on $100. That game is designed for a much, much bigger budget. So again, 90% is your personal budget. Don't ever try to compete with somebody else's budget. It's your personal budget. It's 90% of the success at slots right there.
Absolutely.
So very good question.
Yes.
All right. Let's see here. Some of those look good for Mark to take. So
yeah, I was just looking at the top one there.
I'll let you take it, Mark, because I see another one in there that's
that's
no
worries,
problem related.
So K-Pat BX says, I've been gambling too reckless recently. I think winning a few jackpots made me more emboldened. I mean, this is the main reason why we started to do the gambler audits on the Gamble Smart channel, is for reasons what you just said. Because listen, like the hardest thing, one of the questions that I've started to ask everybody is, tell me about your first time gambling. Did you win? Yes or no? I'm starting to think that if they won, they are still a gambler today. If they didn't, they might not be a gambler today. It all came down to that first experience. And go back and try to think of the first time you were ever in a casino and what happened, and see if you can correlate to that to how you are now as a gambler. I think you might find some interesting stuff there. But back to what you're saying, listen, the first thing is just don't be hard on yourself. I mean, I've been hard on myself. I know Brantley's probably been hard on himself. Like that's not the way to solve the problem. What you got to do is self-evaluate and say, and I think you already did, because you understand how it happened. You understand by winning a few jackpots, it's made you become reckless. Okay. So you've identified the problem. So what do you need to do? You need to try to erase those jackpots from your mind. Forget that you ever got them. Go back to a bet that you're more comfortable with and start concentrating more on your budget and not trying to chase the jackpot again. You got lucky, consider that a good thing, but don't, like, the worst thing you can do is think, well, that was so easy, I'm just going to keep doing that over and over and over again. And that's where a lot of people come into problems, because then it's a constant chase. It's not even in your individual session or in individual visit inside of the casino, but it's like a nonstop thing. It's like every time you go to the casino, you're chasing from the last time you were there, and you just keep getting worse and worse and deeper. But that whole time you're not having fun, which is the whole purpose of gambling. And go in there and have fun, enjoy yourself. Maybe you win some, maybe you don't. But try to forget past experiences when it comes to each visit to the casino, because some of those things can really impact the way you play going forward. You should always reset yourself. And this is why we take breaks, guys. I hope you're taking breaks while you're in the casino. After a big win or a big loss or whatever, you got to get up and walk away for at least 30 minutes, if not longer, because you got to reset. You got to go back to, okay, that was stupid. I did something really stupid there, but let me go back to where I started, which was on quarter machines. I'm going to get out of this high limit room. I'm going to go take a walk for 30 minutes. And I'm going to go back and act like I just walked into the casino and I'm starting with my initial bankroll. And I'm going to play the quarters until I build it up using the build up methods and all these things. So, yeah, I know that was a loaded answer, but I mean, we hear these things all the time. And I commend you for actually admitting it. A lot of people don't want to say that or even reveal it. So you've taken a good step there, and just try to remember some of the things that I said, and that you'll be better off in future outcomes if you just don't think about what happened previously. And I understand how hard it is. It's when you hit big on a machine, you're drawn to that machine forever. It's like for life, you want to get back and play that machine because of what happened previously. But and hopefully that it doesn't mean anything for the future. That machine could take everything back that it gave you earlier, just as easy as it gave you the jackpot. So, but good question. I'm glad you brought that up. I'll take this other one real quick, and then
go ahead.
Cheap slots and cheap. I know. I ramble a lot. Cheap slots and cheap gambling says, Mark, do you still have a hate towards triple top dollar? Did very well on it last month at Atlantic City. Now, triple, you might be talking about a different one. So, Top Dollar Grand is the new one that just came out. I'm very mixed reactions on that one still. I played it for a little while. I love the game, but it didn't do me well. But that was only one session or two sessions, so I want to play it a little bit more. But Triple Top Dollar is an older machine that I have not seen in the casino for a very long time. And the way you spot this one is that you basically have a 5 credit bet, single pay line, and whatever you get in the bonus at the top, it's like a round thing. And whatever you get in the bonus at the top, it's multiplied by 3 for every bonus. That's what Triple Top Dollar is. So I love that one, but I have not seen it in a long time. MGM Grand used to have them. I love playing them there, but they're gone. So, all right, back to you, Brantley.
Who knows? Maybe it'll come back one day.
I've been trying to own one of those forever, and I can't find it.
Let's see. Smiley 007 says, thanks for doing what you're doing. Your videos show me that I'm a bad gambler. All the machines I play and
there's another one.
Utility games, like 2-cent and 5-cent quick hits. Happy New Year. So here's the thing. don't be hard on yourself. You're not a bad gambler. If you're playing what you enjoy and if you're getting the entertainment out of it, then you are getting something out of that machine. Like I said, I personally, do I recommend Keno? No. Do I like Keno? No. Is it a good game to play? No. But there are a lot of people out there that they enjoy playing it, and entertainment is a huge part of slots. I mean, slots are
Yes.
primarily entertainment. So if that's what you're entertained by, um, if you enjoy playing those machines, don't think of it as a being a bad gambler. The only thing that I would change is if you don't want to change the games that you're playing and you're like, man, I really love these games, then change either the mentality of knowing like, okay, you know what? I'm probably not going to hit that grand on this one, or I'm probably not going to hit all the quick hits on this one. But I'm just going to play it for fun. So lower your bet and extend your session a little bit. Don't overextend yourself. Don't raise your bet. Don't try to chase those progressives. Just have fun at it and play it lower. There's nothing wrong with that. So happy new year to you too. I don't think you're a bad gambler whatsoever. None at all.
Nope.
Let's see. Are there any new slots coming out this year that you're looking forward to? There are some new titles out there that, believe it or not, like I've seen people play that are newer, they're already out there. They're already out there, but I haven't played them yet. Like the game Mo Mummy, Bull Blitz is one. I'm like, they look pretty fun. High in volatility, granted, they are high in volatility, but they look fun. So the only new ones that I'm really excited for, I'm excited to see the original Top Dollar coming back in the Diamond RS
Mm.
Premium cabinet. It's not Top Dollar Grand, it's not double Top Dollar, it's not, 9 line 10 credit, it's just regular
It's there.
traditional
Aria has it.
Top Dollar. Yeah. Oh, so Ari already has it. Yeah.
Yeah, Aria has it.
That's really the only one that I would be excited about. I don't know, Mark, what about you?
Uh, there's one in particular I saw at G2E, and I know it's coming out this year. And IGT is doing their take on red spins. So I know, but it looks like it's a lot of fun. So the concept is the base games are all familiar games. So it'll come in like the pink sevens, the pink diamonds. It comes in triple stars. I think what was the other one? A double gold, of course. All of these kind of the traditional base game, but the way it works is that if you get a hit, it may respin and give you a greater hit on every time it respins, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it seems pretty exciting, and that's one of the reasons I like the Class 2 bingo machines, because when you see the screen go red, you know something cool is about to happen. And so they kind of took their own take on it. But I was happy to see how they implemented it, and hopefully we get to see those soon, because I think that's unfortunately I think they were 9 line, but I think everything's 9 line. It seems like right now. So
And that's
you
a
know,
great thing. We've come out with a lot of great episodes recently, but one of them, which just the video took off. If you guys haven't seen it, it's the video that our slots getting harder to win on.
yeah,
And that was a really, really good video, because what IGT has been doing with a lot of these new games of, it's like, yeah, we have pinball, we have top dollar, we have double diamond, triple diamond, but now instead of 1 line, now it's 9 lines with a 10 credit bet. It's like, that's one of the ways. So
yeah,
it's like the games themselves are changing. It's not about payback percentage, you know. The games themselves are changing. So that's a great example. Like when I see, like, we
yeah.
got really excited when it's like, oh, when the Diamond RS cabinet first came out, it's like, oh, this new pinball looks super cool, and I play it and I'm like, I don't like this game. I don't like the way it plays. I still cannot find myself liking the new pinball. I still can't,
I
and I
love
love
it, but
it.
only when I get the bonus.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know why I did
I don't
that.
know, it's some Apple thing. When I wanted to do it, it doesn't do it.
It doesn't
But when
do
I
it.
go to like do this, it whatever.
It just do something random.
I know.
Do all machines have hit by info? No, they do not. So a game that is a must hit by game will be clearly labeled as a must hit by game. It will be clearly labeled on the machine, must win by. It might not have a reset amount, but it will say on there must win by somewhere, if not in the game rules. So, and
And by the
never.
way, there is somebody out there on YouTube that's saying part of this is incorrect, and that is if you look in the game rules, sometimes they will tell you what the maximum amount of the progressive is. So if you go in there, it says, well, the grand can go up to 10,000 and the maxi can go up to 5,000. Those aren't must hit by numbers. That's
Correct.
just the cap. That is the most that progressive can pay out. So just be careful of that. Like it must, just like Brantley said, it has to say must win by, must hit by, or something like that. If it doesn't say that, then it's not a must hit by. And we don't want to see, because that's bad information. If you see one of those and it's at 4,999 out of 5,000, you're going to think incorrectly that it's about to roll over and hit. But no, it'll roll over to 5,000. It'll just keep going until the random lucky person that hits the button at the right time gets the progressive. So just be very careful with that.
Exactly. Well said. Well adding that, Mark.
Yeah.
Let's see. Bets Profit says people see the recent $1 million win, but the player was betting $250.
Oh God.
The one before
this drives me nuts.
So here's the thing, guys. And this goes back to kind of something we were saying earlier. Everybody's budget is different. Okay. If you see somebody winning, these giant amounts and stuff like that, they're not playing $10. They're not playing $20. They didn't go into the casino with $100. I know the hit that you're talking about. This is a person that they play this game religiously every single day at insane bet amounts. I can guarantee you 100% they have burned through probably 10 times what the $1 million jackpot was in order to get that win. So it can happen to anybody, though. I mean, it is possible. It could have happened to any player that came by and just did one spin on it. It's really luck at the end of the day. But always do keep that in mind, especially, with those bigger bets and stuff like that is, everybody's bankroll is different. So playing what is within your bankroll is going to be important. We don't want you to think that it's that easy to get $1,000 on Dragon Link, because it's not. Can it still happen, on the first spin? Yes, it can still happen, but 99.99% of the time it's not going to. And it takes a lot to play that game. That game is designed for a higher budget. So unless you have a higher budget, then don't play that game. That's it. If you are going to play that game and you don't have a massive budget to spend, just know what you're getting into. You better really enjoy that entertainment, because you're probably not getting anything in return. That's a really expensive form of entertainment right there. $10 super chat here from Tony. Tony, appreciate you, buddy. I was in Vegas Christmas Day at MGM, old school, top dollar, $2 credit max, hit the jackpot, triple diamond, triple diamond, triple diamond. All right. Thank you. Listen to your advice. $2,050. Awesome. Nice hit on that. And thank you very much for the super chat. Really do appreciate it. All right. Back to you, Mark.
That's a tough one to hit. So
yeah, it is a tough one.
I just saw this question. I'll go and answer this real quick. Do casino employees know when a particular machine is going to hit a jackpot? No. The machine itself doesn't even know. There is no way that anybody can tell when a machine is going to hit or not, including you. If you think that you're noticing something, you're not. So just be careful. All right, time to get nerdy here. Joseph Connery said, technical question. Original single top dollar S2000, which aspects of the game are affected as RTP is lowered? More spins on average between bonuses, fewer higher credit offers. Well, one thing to keep in mind is that volatility exists in the game itself. It's programmed with a certain volatility. And every place that you see that game, that title, it's the same. So there's not 3 different versions of regular top dollar single line, for example, that have different volatility. They all have the same volatility. But what does differ is the volatility between different versions of top dollar. So double top dollar is different in volatility. So is the 5-line top dollar. So is the 9-line top dollar. It goes on and on from there. They're all different. But the way basically that they control the volatility is, let's compare top dollar. I'll make this real quick. Compare double top dollar and top dollar. Double top dollar line hits very few and far between. You almost always have to play that game for the bonus. But the bonus rounds are usually more lucrative. The average bonus offers are higher on double top dollar than they are on regular top dollar. However, top dollar, the bonus rounds are not as high. They typically cap out around 35 or 40 credits unless you get some outlier. But in exchange of that, you get frequent line hits. And that's why I always recommend, if you're playing high limit top dollar, to stick with the classic original, because you want to get those line hits. You want to get low, low to mid frequent bonus hits. That it's just a better thing when betting high limit. Whereas double top dollar, man, I mean, you can have some strings where you just get nothing on double top dollar, not even a line hit or a cherry or anything. But at least with regular top dollar, you can see some of that. But again, the trade-off is the bonus rounds play out differently. So hopefully that helps answer your question, what you're saying there.
Exactly.
It can get way more complicated than that. I could talk for 2 hours on this topic. I'm not going to do that to you guys. Borderline James says, if a person has a gambling problem, is there a way to still gamble without losing money you can't afford? Still plays while self-excluded in 3 states, but also has a gambling cafes and walking distance. Well, I mean, I can give general advice, but I have to be careful, because when you talk about somebody self-excluding from casinos and guys, what that means is you basically, you go to the casino or you go to the commission or whatever, the state, and you say, ban me from all casinos, and they record your license down. They have your face. If there's facial recognition going on in the security cameras, they'll spot you and kick you out. If you hit a hand pay, they will deny your winnings. If you try to go cash out at the cashier's cage, they may deny your winnings because you're not supposed to be there. So if you've gotten to the point where you have a gambling problem and you have self-excluded, my suggestion is just to stop. I mean, don't try to gamble at all until you find yourself in a better situation. Here's what I would say. If you have admitted that you have a gambling problem and you've self-excluded yourself, and you are still thinking about going to a casino that's within 8 blocks of you, you haven't solved the problem yet. You're still thinking about gambling. I think the only time to fully reset and get yourself off the self-exclusion list, and by the way, some you can't get off of, is a lifetime ban. You need to not be thinking about gambling at all. It needs to have a long time pass where you're just not thinking about gambling in any form or fashion. Lottery, casinos, bars, whatever the case is, you got to have that clear out of your mind. So if you're still thinking about it, I think it's best just to stay home and try to take up another hobby. That's just my personal advice on that.
I would talk to your counselor.
Yeah.
On that
Definitely.
one. I would speak with a licensed counselor on that.
Oh,
one.
yes.
Casey High Roller says, my theory is more spins, you have better chance of winning. No, that is not correct. I know a lot of times it feels that way. People they have this feeling of investment into slot machines, but every single spin on a slot machine is a random independent event. It doesn't know what's going to happen next, and it doesn't take into account what's happened in the past. So, no, you don't have a better chance of after more spins have gone through the machines. And Lady Light says, are the machines suddenly tight? So for the past week, I visited 3 casinos, no wins for me, no matter the bet or denom. No, the machines didn't change at all. And that's one thing that, there's 2 things that I think, of all the myths about slot machines, there's 2 things that just absolutely need to die. and that is the myth that slot machines are hot, cold, tight, or loose.
Yeah.
And then the second one is RTP and payback percentage. Those are the 2 things that just absolutely
They're
need
distractions.
to die.
Yeah.
Because they're 100% distractions. The machines don't change. They don't get tight. They don't get loose. They don't get hot. They don't get cold. They don't get all these other nouns that people like to throw out there. They don't. They're machines. They're calculators. That's all they are. And that payback percentage and that RTP, this is what I've never, I try to explain this to people as much as possible. That number is the absolute end result. So if you think about something, let's put this in the, I'll give you an example here. Let's talk about the stock market, because people, they talk about the stock market all the time. You buy a stock, and then a lot of times, you buy this stock and you're like, oh, well, in 20, 30 years, I could make X amount of money. And that over that course of that 20, 30 years, Every single minute, every single day, it's going to go up, it's going to go down. Sometimes you're going to make a whole lot of money, sometimes you're going to lose money, sometimes it's going to get really high, sometimes it's going to get really low. They might go a week and just sit in the middle. That's what stocks do. That is exactly the same damn thing that slot machines do for the casino. It's like that. The casino knows that when they buy a slot machine, that, we'll just say 95% is the RTP, the payback percentage. That means that at the end of its life, at the very, very far end, at a point that you as the player are never going to see, that they are going to make 5% out of all the money that's ever been put into that machine. That is what that number means. And that is why casinos don't tell you what that number is, because that is their metric, not yours.
Yep.
It's going to have swings up and down. They know that before it gets to that point, just like a stock, it's going to have days where it pays out a lot. It's going to have days where it doesn't pay out at all. And then it's going to have times where it'll go a couple weeks and just be middle of the road. It's the nature of randomness. It's the nature of the law of large numbers. And that is what the math is called. It's called the law of large numbers. But no, to answer your question, machines aren't tight. The casino's not changing them, anything like that. And for everybody out there watching, just always remember too, that payback percentage, that RTP, that is the end result that you will never, ever, 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 ever see. If you are focused on RTP and payback percentage, you are completely focused on the absolute wrong thing. Focus on how it gets there. How it gets to that percentage is the volatility and the variance of the game. That's how it gets there. That is what is occurring now. So that is what you should be focusing on the most when playing slots.
Just to give a quick example, we were at WinStar, and they actually, I can't believe they did this, but a tech left one of the Ainsworth machines on the accounting page, and so I got to see the accounting of that machine, and it was set to, I think it was around 92%, but the current amount that it was at was around 80%. But that was after $290,000 has been played through that machine. And it still is not at the 92%. But after another 500,000, $1 million gets put through that machine, it's going to get closer and closer and closer. Not actively, it just will happen naturally. Just like the flipping of the coin. I mean, I know I mentioned that way too much, but it's like, that's the way to visualize it. Your brain cannot visualize what a slot machine is doing in the long term. We're not capable of it. Mathematicians maybe, but most of us don't get that. But what we do understand is that flipping a coin is 50-50 for heads and tails. So why is it when you flip it 20 times, you get 15 heads and not 10? It's because it's part of randomness. Like if you do it enough times, if you flip that coin 1,000 times, it's going to get this close. If you do another 10,000 times, it'll be this close. You do it 100,000 times, it'll be this close. But eventually, it's going to get to that 50-50, which we all know it is. And so slot machines are the same way. It's just they're set at 92% or 85% or whatever the number is. It's just going to take it a while to get there. And it's just the lesson that you guys got to take away from this is that it's not something that you will ever notice in any session or even any multiple visits. Like 400 spins is still not enough to determine the difference between an 85% machine and a 90% machine. People swear that they can tell, but I'm telling you, you can't. It's the number is so minute. 400 spins is so minute. It's barely a blip. And another way to do, I'll shut up after this.
You're good.
A good way to visualize this, if you guys really want to test this theory, is open up Excel. You got to do this on a computer that you have a lot of RAM and stuff. But do 10 million rows and number them 1 to 10 million, okay? And then, well, just do, I think you know where I'm getting at. So say that 90% of those rows are a win and 10% of those are a loss. We'll go in there and remove 400 rows and see what it does to the bottom line number. 400 rows out of 10 million is not going to even change to like the 100th or 1,000th of a percentage point. It's just you're not going to notice it on any individual session. And so, like Brantley said, those are terms that kind of need to go away because it's confusing people and it's a marketing tactic and it's a way to keep you playing. And like Brantley said again, it's distractions. You don't want to think about that kind of stuff. And I know people are, because every time we do a live show, people bring that up. They're always thinking about payback percentage. It's natural. Like that's what we were taught, right? We were taught to, because of all the marketing and all the lingo and all this bank 99% guaranteed payout, or go downtown, it's 3% higher payback. But we've been taught this because it's been shoved in our face. But it's not something you're going to notice in any individual session. So, okay, I'm done.
Exactly. We are over we're about an hour and 5 minutes, so we're going to take some last minute questions here, and then we'll round out our show here. David just and I'll kind of go through some of these really quick. David was saying, what are your thoughts on slot machines that you can pay for a bonus? We did a whole episode on this. It's called "Should You Buy a Bonus?" Check out that video in the library, because it will surprise you when you watch that episode. It'll surprise you. But short answer is absolutely never buy a bonus. Ever. It is the biggest waste of money. Don't buy one. But go watch that episode, because that episode is really, really cool and educational. Two-parter here from Molly. Molly says the problem is when you hit like crazy on a machine and you never do it again. It seems like it paid me before with less spins. They must have changed it. This is why I like playing after holidays and weekends. So there's a lot wrong with that right there. So the machines don't change. Absolutely not. The machines don't change. And again, this is another one of, talking about payback percentage and RTP. That number is a casino metric for the long term. Even if they were to change it, let's just say this. Let's just say if a casino decided that they wanted to change it for 4th of July, they wouldn't see the benefit for like 5 years just from changing it for that one day. So why would they do that? Why would they go through all the red tape? Why would they go through all the issues? Because you have to, even on, and this is another one that needs to die, and it's the central server crap. Even with a central server that has the ability to push a change to the machine, you still have to have physical access to that machine to enable that change and to accept that change. So for them to change payback for a holiday or a weekend, they would have to close the casino down for probably 12 hours, shut down every machine on the floor, go through and manually, they'd have to spend thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars on payroll to do. They don't change it. And I can tell you this, I can tell you this from a known 100% fact. There is a hotel, I'm not going to say which one, but there is a hotel on the Las Vegas Strip that has been there since I think like they've been there a long time. They're one of the biggest and they've been there the longest. I can tell you right now, they have never once changed their payback percentages. It does not happen. The machines don't change. So just always keep that in mind, guys. If, with the RTPs and the payback percentages and stuff like that, it is so far out there that, people think it affects them in their session, and it really doesn't. So, absolutely. All right, Mark, I'll let you go ahead and take this last question.
Yeah, boy, you're out of breath there. Chase says, hey, I just turned 18. I'm enlisted in the Marines and have $20,000 to my name. Do you think I should go have my first experience at the casino now before boot camp, or wait till later in life? Wait until later in life, my friend.
Wait till later.
I think 18 is way too young to be gambling. They actually allow that at WinStar, and I see these kids playing. Yes, and they are kids in my mind. I think it's way too young to start thinking about that. If you want to go scratch an itch, take $20 in just to have the experience, but 20,000, just do something else with that money.
Exactly.
I'll stick it. I'll leave it at that.
Go do something fun. All right, guys. So, hey, you know what? This has been a wonderful show. We've been going for about an hour and 8 minutes. This has been season 2 now of Real Talk, episode 1. And once again, thank you, Mark, for joining us on the show today. Mark is with the Gamble Smart, Gamble Safe channel, so be sure to check that out. As always, we absolutely love having Mark here. And thank you to everybody that has joined into the show today. As a reminder, our live streams happen every single Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. If we happen to miss your question, be sure to check out our website. It's right here, ropethejackpot.com. You can ask your questions 24/7, talk to locals in your area, and it's always 100% free to use. And be sure to check that out, because A lot of good resources on there. New clothing will be coming to the store later this month, and Member Monday will be tomorrow. So for all of those members out there, and I know Bobby Earl gifted 5 memberships, so thank you very much for that, Bobby. All of those new members out there, Member Monday, you do get an extra live stream every single week. That's it's a lot quieter, smaller of a live stream. We do it for members every Monday at 7 p.m. Central. If you're not a member and would like to be one, you can always become a member at the link in the video description down below. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much. As always, best of luck to you. Stay safe, and we will see you again next episode. Take care.
Happy New Year.